Afternoon. Welcome to another kind of special episode, a special edition of Weekly Spark, with the theme of January being the butterfly. I think it's a very powerful symbol. I think it resonates with quite a few people, many different meanings behind it. So I wanted to pop on and just talk a little bit about that symbolism and the folklore and some of the reasons why it's such an evocative symbol for me. Obviously, we think of a butterfly and we think of transformation. From the caterpillar into that larval stage, into the chrysalis, where it literally dissolves into goo. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. It literally dissolves into goo and reforms. I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to go into the scientific properties behind that. But when it emerges, looking like a wet little ball of mess, eventually it gets those wings opened up and they dry off and it flies away. That kind of complete and utter transformation makes it a really powerful symbol. But there's that freedom element to it as well. The transformation kind of also is adjacent to rebirth and renewal, because it is born anew from that chrysalis. It is freedom, it is grace, it is seen as magical, often seen as, a symbol of beauty. But it's also, in many cultures, seen as a symbol of the soul. Now, if we start with ancient Greece, the word psyche, psychology, psyche, exactly that word, could be translated as either soul or as breath, which is kind of the soul is a kind of breath to animate the body anyway, right? The Greek myth, which I'm not going to give you in full detail, is of Eros and Psyche, or Cupid and Psyche. And she was a mortal girl. She married Eros under the premise that she would never see him. So she was in the palace by day, being taken care of by servants, and then her husband lover would come to her at night and she never saw him. Her sisters threw some discord into that. She took a peek, realized who she was married to, and then, that having broken her vow, she was cast out. He didn't want to cast her out, but there are rules that the gods had to follow. Well, her mother-in-law, Aphrodite, Venus, the goddess of love, put her through quite a harrowing set of tasks that she had to complete in order to win Cupid back. So that's the condensed version. It's a fabulous story about her hope and strength and resiliency. And in the end, she is reunited with her lover and actually made a goddess and put on Mount Olympus. But that butterfly as a soul is not unique to that culture. In Cornwall, white butterflies are said to be symbols of the soul, same as in Ireland. In an indigenous Native American tribe of the Southwest, whose name I'm hoping I'm pronouncing correctly, the Tohono, the butterfly carries the wishes to the Great Spirit. If you have ever looked at any Chinese art or tapestries or even like origami paper or things like that, not that that's Chinese, that's from a larger Asian population, but there are so many instances of the butterfly being used in that very kind of curly, circular style. And for in parts of Asia, that butterfly is kind of a symbol of immortality, but it's also a symbol of joy and happiness. This symbol has positive connotations. I mean, most, I think, positive, across so many different cultures. There are quite a few links to Aztec and Mayan Mexico, to ancient Mexico, with gods and goddesses whose names are extremely hard to pronounce. I will attempt a few of them. There's a goddess, Iztpapalotl, Iztpapalotl, known as the obsidian butterfly, and she was associated with purification and rejuvenation through sacrifice, which, if you know anything about the ancient Mexican culture, was a component of their belief system and their cultural practices. There's another goddess, a love goddess named Xochiquetzal, and she was depicted as a moth with a human head. She was holding aloft sticks of fire. I mean, okay, wow. Sticks of fire makes me think of then the monarch butterfly, those bright orange colors, and even to this day, the monarch butterfly is associated with the Day of the Dead. The monarch's insane, complicated, genetically encoded migration that takes them down to Mexico, takes them down there at about the end of October. And so not only does that are they seen as a symbol of the soul in that culture associated with Day of the Dead, but the timing is such that it lines up perfectly with the calendar of that time when the veils are a bit thin and the dead come back to visit. So yeah, I mean, you can, this is just the merest tip of the iceberg, but I find it extremely fascinating to see both continuity and contrast with a symbol across different cultures. I will leave you with 2 other notes that in Russian, although I don't know what kind of dialect, because Russian can be used as a big USSR, was a huge collection of nations lumped under the term Russia. So I'm not sure exactly where this comes from, but I have written down here that the term for butterfly is babochka, little old woman, and that butterflies were sometimes believed to be witches in disguise. So I kind of love that, and that's really just fun to me. But I will close with a related Serbian proverb. If you kill a butterfly, you kill a witch. So hopefully that sparks some ideas for you, whether you're looking at butterflies as that symbol of transformation, whether you're purely looking at them as the beautiful creatures that they are, whether you're looking at them from a more scientific slant and looking at the stages of their life cycle, whether they have a kind of freedom symbolism to you because of what they leave behind and how they can set out from that cocoon and be free. Whatever you take from that, hopefully that does spark some ideas. I have more ideas for pages than I have Wednesdays left in January, so I may have to draw straws as to which themes I use for my 2 remaining weekly sparks. But in the near future, I will be mentioning the book and the theme for February, because that's coming up pretty quickly. So I'll probably just do a little YouTube short for that. As always, if you're interested in these topics or want to see the art journaling pages that come from this, please go ahead and subscribe, like this video, subscribe to the channel. That helps the algorithm a lot, and I would love to see you tune in for more episodes of Weekly Spark. So I'm going to turn the camera around and get to the art journal, but thank you for listening to my folklore TED Talk. See you soon. Bye-bye.